In 2019, marine biologists discovered a creature in the Pacific depths that was actively hunting with weapons it had forged from the bones of its prey. The vampire squid wasn't just feeding, it was crafting tools, strategizing attacks, and demonstrating intelligence levels that shouldn't exist in an animal without a backbone. This discovery shattered everything we thought we knew about invertebrate consciousness. But that was just the beginning. Tonight, we descend into the abyss to meet 5 creatures that defy the very laws of biology, evolution, and sanity itself. Welcome to Earth's most alien realm, where nightmares have evolved eyes. Scientists call it Psychrolutes marcetus. The internet knows it as the world's ugliest animal. But both names hide a terrifying truth about one of evolution's most disturbing success stories. A creature that shouldn't be able to exist, yet thrives in conditions that would kill every other vertebrate on Earth instantly. At depths of 4,000 feet, where pressure reaches levels that would crush a human body to the size of a marble, the blobfish has achieved something that violates fundamental principles of vertebrate biology. It has eliminated its skeleton, not reduced it, not modified it, eliminated it entirely. Dr. Marina Petrov first encountered a living blobfish during a deep-sea expedition off the coast of New Zealand in 2011. What she witnessed challenged everything marine biology understood about vertebrate survival in extreme environments. The creature wasn't just floating, she recalls, her voice still tinged with disbelief years later. It was actively hunting, moving with purpose, manipulating its environment with appendages that had no skeletal structure to support them. It was like watching a nightmare made flesh literally. The blobfish has evolved beyond the constraints that limit every other vertebrate species. Its body consists entirely of gelatinous tissue with a density slightly less than water, allowing it to float effortlessly above the ocean floor. But this isn't passive survival. It's active predation using biological principles that shouldn't work. Without bones, without cartilage, without any rigid structure, the blobfish can compress its body to fit through spaces smaller than a golf ball, then expand to engulf prey larger than itself. It's essentially a living liquid that thinks, hunts, and reproduces using mechanisms that rewrite the rules of vertebrate biology. But the most disturbing aspect isn't its impossible anatomy. It's what happens when pressure changes force these creatures toward the surface. The blobfish images that made it famous show a creature that appears to be melting, its features dissolving into an amorphous mass of pink flesh. But marine biologists now understand this isn't death, it's transformation. The blobfish is actively reshaping its body in response to environmental pressure, demonstrating real-time evolution that occurs within minutes rather than millennia. We're not looking at a creature that's dying, Dr. Petrov explains. We're watching an organism that can fundamentally alter its physical structure as a survival response. It's biological shapeshifting on a scale we've never documented in vertebrate species. Recent deep-sea footage has captured blobfish, exhibiting behaviors that suggest they're not just adapting to pressure changes, they're exploiting them. These creatures appear to use controlled decompression as a hunting strategy, rising to intermediate depths where their expanding bodies can engulf prey that cannot adapt to the pressure differential. They've weaponized the physics that should kill them. From the deepest trenches of Japan emerges a predator that time forgot, except it didn't forget us. The goblin shark, Mitsukorina hostoni, represents a lineage that has remained virtually unchanged for 125 million years. But recent encounters suggest this living fossil has been evolving in ways that paleontologists never imagined. The goblin shark's most infamous feature is its extendable jaw, capable of shooting forward at speeds exceeding 20 feet per second to capture prey. But this is just the beginning of adaptations that border on the supernatural. Dr. Kenji Nakamura was studying deep-sea feeding patterns off the coast of Honshu when his research team encountered something that would haunt marine biology for decades. A goblin shark, but not behaving like any documented in scientific literature. The creature was using its jaw extension, not just for feeding, but for environmental manipulation, Dr. Nakamura reports. It was excavating holes in the seafloor, creating what appeared to be trap systems for smaller fish. This suggested planning abilities that we've never associated with sharks. But the goblin shark's most unsettling adaptation isn't physical, it's temporal. These creatures appear to exist in a state of suspended animation between hunts, slowing their metabolism to levels that approach death. Researchers have documented goblin sharks remaining motionless for periods exceeding 6 months, showing no signs of life beyond minimal electrical activity in their ampullae of Lorenzini's specialized organs that detect electrical fields generated by living creatures. When prey enters their detection range, goblin sharks don't just wake up, they explode into activity with violence that defies their ancient appearance. Their jaw extension creates cavitation bubbles that can stun fish from distances exceeding 10 feet. They're essentially using their mouths as biological sonic weapons. Recent genetic analysis has revealed that goblin sharks possess DNA sequences that shouldn't exist in modern organisms. Their genetic code contains information from marine species that went extinct millions of years ago, not as evolutionary remnants, but as active genetic instructions that continue to influence their development. The goblin shark isn't just a living fossil, explains marine geneticist Dr. Sarah Kim. It's a genetic repository of extinct marine life. Somehow, these creatures have been collecting and preserving DNA from species they've encountered throughout their evolutionary history. They're living museums of marine extinction events. This genetic hoarding has allowed goblin sharks to develop hunting strategies based on the behavioral patterns of prey species that no longer exist. They're hunting ghosts and succeeding. Deep-sea cameras have captured footage of goblin sharks exhibiting hunting behaviors that correspond to feeding strategies that would have been effective against marine reptiles from the Cretaceous period. They're using 125-million-year-old tactics against modern prey with devastating effectiveness. But perhaps most disturbing of all, goblin sharks appear to be teaching these ancient hunting strategies to their offspring through methods that shouldn't be possible in cartilaginous fish. They're passing down learned behaviors across generations, creating lineages of predators that combine prehistoric lethality with modern adaptation. Evolution didn't forget the goblin shark. The goblin shark has been collecting evolution's memories. Vampiroteuthis infernalis, a vampire squid from hell. A name that promises nightmare fuel, but the reality is far more terrifying than any Gothic horror could imagine. This isn't just a predator, it's a craftsman, an engineer, a creature that has developed tool use to levels that challenge our understanding of invertebrate intelligence. The vampire squid inhabits the ocean's oxygen minimum zone, a layer of water so depleted of breathable gases that it represents one of Earth's most hostile environments. Here, in permanent darkness between 2,000 and 3,000 feet below the surface, conditions are so extreme that most marine life cannot survive for more than minutes. The vampire squid has made this hellscape its kingdom. Dr. Elena Vasquez was the first researcher to document vampire squid tool used during a deep-sea expedition in the Pacific's oxygen minimum zone. What she witnessed fundamentally challenged everything marine biology understood about cephalopod intelligence. The creature was systematically collecting the shells of dead marine organisms and arranging them into complex structures, Dr. Vasquez recalls. But it wasn't random collection. It was selection based on specific criteria: size, shape, density. The vampire squid was engineering something. That something turned out to be hunting blinds. Vampire squids construct elaborate camouflage structures from collected debris, creating hidden vantage points from which they ambush prey. But the sophistication of their constructions suggests planning abilities that approach those of higher vertebrates. Each hunting blind is uniquely designed for the specific environment where it's built. Vampire squids in rocky terrain create structures that mimic geological formations. Those in areas with heavy marine snow, the constant fall of organic debris from surface waters, build blinds that blend seamlessly with the natural sediment patterns. Most remarkably, these constructions are modified and improved over time. Vampire squids return to their hunting blinds repeatedly, adding materials, adjusting positions, and refining their designs based on hunting success rates. We're observing iterative engineering, Dr. Vasquez explains. These creatures are learning from their successes and failures, then modifying their constructions accordingly. It's problem-solving behavior that we typically associate with primates, not invertebrates. But tool use represents just the beginning of vampire squid capabilities that shouldn't exist. These creatures possess bioluminescent organs called photophores that can create light displays visible from over a mile away in the deep ocean's eternal darkness. Originally thought to be defensive mechanisms, recent research suggests vampire squids are using their light-generating abilities for long-distance communication. Deep-sea observation stations have documented coordinated bioluminescent displays between vampire squids separated by distances exceeding 5 miles. The patterns suggest they're sharing information about prey locations, environmental hazards, and territorial boundaries using a language of light that operates on scales unprecedented in marine environments. We're not just observing tool use, Dr. Vasquez reveals. We're documenting the emergence of invertebrate civilization. These creatures are developing technology, communication systems, and social structures in one of Earth's most hostile environments. Recent genetic analysis has revealed that vampire squids possess neural complexity levels that approach those of vertebrates, despite lacking a backbone. Their nervous systems demonstrate processing capabilities that shouldn't be possible given their evolutionary lineage. But the most disturbing discovery came when researchers realized that vampire squid populations in different ocean regions were sharing innovations. Tool-use techniques developed in the Pacific were appearing in Atlantic populations with no possible means of direct contact. Somehow, vampire squids are transmitting learned behaviors across ocean basins. Chlamydia salicis anguineus, the frilled shark, a name that fails to capture the horror of encountering a predator that exists outside the normal flow of time itself. This isn't just an ancient species. It's a creature that has weaponized evolutionary stasis to become the ocean's most patient killer. The frilled shark represents a lineage virtually unchanged for 80 million years. But recent encounters suggest these creatures haven't been static. They've been perfecting the art of temporal hunting. Professor David Chun's research team encountered their first living frilled shark during a deep-sea survey off the coast of Portugal in 2020. Creature's behavior defied everything known about shark feeding patterns and challenged fundamental assumptions about predator-prey relationships. The animal wasn't actively hunting, Professor Chun recalls. It was waiting, but not passive waiting, strategic positioning. It had calculated exactly where prey would be at a future time and positioned itself accordingly. Frilled sharks appear to hunt using predictive algorithms that would challenge modern computers. They position themselves along migration routes used by deep-sea fish, but not where the fish currently swim, where they will be swimming based on seasonal patterns, tidal influences, and feeding schedules. These calculations require understanding timescales that extend far beyond immediate sensory input. Frilled sharks are hunting prey that won't arrive for days or even weeks, demonstrating temporal awareness that shouldn't exist in primitive vertebrates. But their relationship with time becomes even more disturbing when examining their metabolic capabilities. Frilled sharks can enter states of suspended animation that approach clinical death. Their heart rate drops to less than 1 beat per minute. Brain activity becomes undetectable using standard monitoring equipment. Breathing stops entirely for periods exceeding 48 hours. Yet they remain aware of their environment. Deep-sea cameras have captured footage of frilled sharks in suspended animation, responding to prey stimuli with reaction times measured in microseconds. They transition from apparent death to explosive predatory action faster than great white sharks attack surface prey. They're not sleeping, explains marine physiologist Dr. Rebecca Martinez. They're existing in a temporal state that allows them to compress weeks of waiting into subjective moments. They're experiencing time differently than any other vertebrate we've studied. Recent research has revealed that frilled sharks possess specialized neurons that appear to function as biological chronometers, maintaining precise timing mechanisms that operate independently of environmental cues. These internal clocks allow them to track temporal patterns across scales, ranging from milliseconds to seasonal cycles. But perhaps most unsettling of all, frilled sharks appear to be aging at rates that don't correspond to their actual lifespans. Carbon dating of captured specimens has revealed creatures with tissue ages that exceed 200 years. Yet genetic analysis suggests they're biologically equivalent to much younger organisms. They appear to be extending their lifespans by manipulating their relationship with time itself. We're dealing with creatures that have solved the temporal aspects of predation. Dr. Martinez concludes. They've learned to hunt across time as well as space. They're not just ancient, they're timeless. Deep-sea observation has documented frilled sharks returning to the same hunting positions across decades, suggesting they're operating with planning horizons that span human lifetimes. They're making hunting decisions based on environmental patterns that won't manifest for decades. They're not just evolved predators, they're time travelers. Mesonicoteuthis hamiltoni, the colossal squid, a name that captures the physical horror but fails to convey the psychological terror of encountering Earth's most intelligent invertebrate predator. This isn't just the largest squid species. It's a creature that has developed consciousness levels that challenge our understanding of what it means to think. Reaching lengths exceeding 46 feet and possessing eyes the size of dinner plates, colossal squids represent the pinnacle of cephalopod evolution. But recent encounters have revealed capabilities that transcend physical dominance and enter the realm of strategic intelligence that approaches human levels. Dr. Michael Harrison was leading a deep-sea research expedition in Antarctic waters when his team encountered a colossal squid that would redefine marine biology's understanding of invertebrate consciousness. The creature wasn't just hunting, it was experimenting, Dr. Harrison reports. It had captured several species of deep-sea fish and was systematically testing different capture techniques. It was learning, optimizing, refining its strategies based on observed results. But the colossal squid's intelligence extends far beyond hunting optimization. These creatures possess the largest brains of any invertebrate, with neural complexity that rivals many vertebrate species. Recent neurological studies have revealed brain structures that shouldn't exist in cephalopods' regions, dedicated to abstract thinking, problem-solving, and what can only be described as creativity. Colossal squids have been observed creating elaborate sculptures from whale bones, arranging them in patterns that serve no apparent survival function. These constructions suggest aesthetic sensibilities that imply consciousness levels approaching artistic expression. We're not just dealing with intelligence, explains cephalopod neurologist Dr. Jennifer Walsh. We're observing creativity, abstract thinking, and possibly even cultural expression. These creatures are developing art in one of Earth's most hostile environments. But perhaps most disturbing of all, colossal squids appear to be studying humans. Deep-sea research vessels operating in Antarctic waters have reported encounters where colossal squids approach submersibles and systematically examine every surface, every joint, every component of human technology. They're not attacking, they're analyzing. Recent footage shows colossal squids manipulating deep-sea equipment with precision that suggests they understand its function. They've been observed adjusting camera positions, redirecting sonar arrays, and even repairing damaged research equipment using techniques that demonstrate comprehensive understanding of human engineering principles. They're reverse engineering our technology, Dr. Harrison reveals. These creatures are studying human innovation and incorporating our design principles into their own environmental manipulations. They're learning from us as much as we're trying to learn from them. Genetic analysis has revealed that colossal squids possess memory capabilities that allow them to retain complex information across their entire lifespans. They're building comprehensive databases of human technology, marine ecosystems, and environmental patterns that span decades of observation. But most terrifying of all, they appear to be sharing this accumulated knowledge. Different colossal squid populations demonstrate identical responses to human technology, suggesting they're communicating complex technical information across vast ocean distances. They're developing collective intelligence that transcends individual learning. Recent encounters have documented colossal squids working in coordinated groups to manipulate large-scale environmental conditions. They've been observed redirecting ocean currents using strategic positioning, creating localized feeding areas that persist for months, and even influencing whale migration patterns through systematic behavioral modification. We're not dealing with simple predators anymore, Dr. Walsh concludes. We're observing the emergence of a non-human intelligence that's rapidly approaching our own problem-solving capabilities. And they've had the advantage of studying us for far longer than we've been aware of their capabilities. The colossal squid isn't just the ocean's largest invertebrate. It's potentially our most intelligent competitor for planetary dominance. 5 creatures, 5 impossibilities, 5 challenges to everything we thought we understood about life in Earth's deepest waters. The blobfish that has eliminated its skeleton to become a living liquid predator. The goblin shark that collects the genetic memories of extinct species. The vampire squid that has developed invertebrate civilization in hell itself. The frilled shark that hunts across time. The colossal squid that may be more intelligent than we are. Each represents an evolutionary solution so radical, so fundamentally alien, that they shouldn't be able to exist on the same planet as conventional life forms. Yet they don't just survive, they dominate their environments with capabilities that rewrite the rules of biology. But these 5 creatures represent just the tip of an iceberg that extends into the deepest trenches of our planet. Because if evolution can produce shape-shifting vertebrates, time-traveling sharks, and invertebrates that approach human intelligence, what other impossibilities might be lurking in the 95% of our oceans that remain unexplored? The deep trenches of our planet contain environments so alien that they might as well be other worlds. Pressure levels that approach those found on Jupiter's moons. Chemical compositions that would dissolve conventional life forms. Temperature extremes that challenge the fundamental chemistry of organic existence. Yet in these impossible places, life not only survives, it thrives and evolves, and develops capabilities that our surface-based understanding of biology cannot explain. Next time, we'll venture even deeper into the abyss to explore creatures that make tonight's nightmares seem tame by comparison. We'll investigate the evidence for deep-sea species that appear to violate the basic laws of physics, examine organisms that seem to exist partially in our dimension and partially somewhere else entirely, and reveal footage of creatures so impossible that government agencies have classified their very existence. Because the ocean's deepest trenches don't just hide impossible creatures. They hide impossible realities. And lately, those realities have been rising toward the surface, bringing with them revelations that will challenge everything we thought we knew about life, consciousness, and the true nature of intelligence on our planet. Until then, remember that every time you look out at the ocean's vast expanse, creatures that shouldn't exist are looking back from depths that human eyes were never meant to penetrate. They're studying us, learning from us, and perhaps preparing for a world where the impossible becomes inevitable. The abyss doesn't just gaze into you. It thinks about what it sees. And it's been thinking for far longer than we've been able to think back.